Don't forget their gift cards at RitaYanez.com, and so am I. Under your bed.
Turn on the light! Turn on the light! Turn on the light!
Hi there, Aquarius. This is your weekly reading for the week of November 30th. I hope you had a wonderful start to your holiday season and the dysfunction was kept to a minimum. I didn't have the best time. It was only me and my 3 kids at a dinner table, yet somehow, some way, some dysfunction had to slip under the door or something, because there was a little bit of that. So, starting this week, we're coming off of a couple of elements that are still at play. We're still in the Uranus square Pluto separating aspect. Now it's still within about a degree of exact and is going to be this way until about the end of December. And even though this can be more of the same disruption that you've experienced before, there's not a whole lot that we can do about it. It's in kind of a relatively quiet placement for you anyway, involving Capricorn in your solar 12th house. But let's continue to be mindful of what other people are doing. It doesn't mean that you have to sleep with one eye open, but just kind of look for where those surprises could come in, and we'll discuss where, which way, through what avenues. Also on Sunday, we just had the Sun in Sagittarius squaring Neptune in Pisces. Sagittarius is your solar 11th house, so it's very important here. We have a lot to talk about with regard to your tribe, the family, the group of people that are your friends that make up some kind of a second family. They could be the people that you're working with, or people that you met this way, or people that are part of that group that you moonlight with, or a hobby that's significant, with all of those people wrapped up into the same kind of energy. With that said, we also have the Sun in Sagittarius that was just conjunct in Sagittarius with Saturn. So we have this issue here again in your 11th house, where the Sun and Saturn conjoined this way could cause some very strange, if not almost mutiny type environments within a group of people. You could see a bunch of people leaving work. You might be one of those people that throws your hat into the ring and says, screw it, I'm going down fighting. You know, whatever it is that's going on, don't let it get too out of control, because the goal isn't to get yourself fired or get yourself excommunicated from your tribe. It's just more about figuring out what's going on as we go. There isn't any indication something crazy is going to happen. But remember, what is it with Uranus? We can't predict what Uranus is going to do anyway. You know, Uranus is just giving us an idea of where these changes can occur, or what it is that needs to be identified and categorized, but we don't get much more information than that, or at least in my experience, I've never seen it. So on Monday, the card that you've drawn is the 8 of Swords in reverse. You're finally feeling like you can move forward, even if it's only 1 or 2 steps forward at a time, with maybe half a step or 1 step backwards and then going again. It's okay though, because when the swords are involved in any kind of limiting situation, we know that we can think ourselves through it, and that there must be something that's happening for you that is somewhat freeing, liberating, if you will. And that's what you're starting off the week with, and it's actually a pretty good way to start it. Tuesday, we've got the 3 of Pentacles in reverse, and so there could be some criticism that comes your way, and it could be that it is not fair. With that being said, you need to realize that astrology being what it is, we can understand it, we can see it, we can work with it, but we have no clue whether anyone else is even paying attention, if they choose to, if they won't choose to, and then they're going off half-cocked because they don't really know what the energy is better used for. So with that said, you may not feel in control on Tuesday, and I'll tell you why. Mercury in Sagittarius, again, your solar 11th house, is trining Uranus in Aries. So Aries, being your 3rd house of communication, could make you feel like you're going to communicate forcefully. Remember that it might not be the best time to go out with, sharp words and to lay it all out and take up a bayonet, because there still is more that has to play itself out. And even though Neptune is trying to dissolve the boundaries, the parameters, the limitations, whether self-imposed or defined by others, you still have to get through that. We all do. And don't think that you're only one in this boat, because we all are in the boat with you. Mercury and Sagittarius also at this time will be squaring Chiron in Pisces. Pisces being your second solar house of your possessions, your income, the resources, the things that you buy with the money you make, with the job that you do, or the thing that you do on a daily basis. Even if you're a commodities trader, that same income, that same profit is what buys the stuff that you put into your closet in the second house. So with that said, there is some level of healing that will take place here, and it's very well timed, and I think in an excellent position for you, because there could be some relatively stark realizations that you just can't spend the kind of money you'd like to, or you'd love to give money and things to your friends and gifts and a fruit cake for everybody and their brother, and you realize that the best way to handle this Christmas season is to put some money away and only spend what you can afford to spend in cash. If you've got to finance it, charge it up, or do something, what's the golden rule of thumb? If you don't have it in cash and that cash isn't designated for another area of your life, then you don't have it to spend. If you have to go into debt to buy something that you need, and if it is not a true need, if it's really more of a want, then you probably want to forego this, because the headache that the credit cards bring to us when we're down the line and get the statement in January certainly isn't worth it. Also, Mercury in Sagittarius will sextile Apollo in Libra. Libra bringing your ninth house, which is about higher education, certifications, education that involves university, colleges, this kind of thing, higher education. Also, loftier pursuits that are all about Aquarius, right? The spiritual, that which is for the greater good. People from foreign places, foreign lands, foreign jobs, even if it's just in a county away and they do something completely different than you do. There's a whole lot that goes on in that ninth house, and that's where Apollo is going to ask you to take the leadership here, since it is across the sky from Mars. That I think that you just need to make sure that if you have to say your piece, like you have to tell your husband, you know what? We spend too much money every year, and then we freak out every January. So let us not do it this year. Prove to me why you think that this is a good idea. That might be the way to handle this information and whatever it is that needs to be discussed at this time. Sun in Sagittarius, sextile Ceres in Aquarius, your first solar house. And this is where we could get a little bit of a power struggle going on, where somebody wants to take the lead and you're like, nothing doing. I'm not letting go. The other person says, I'm not letting go either. We'll both end up in the muddy quagmire in between us, but I'm tugging the rope, you're tugging the rope, and no one's letting it go. So try to figure out whether or not it's even feasible for you to concede, or if it is a concession that you can make that's more of a compromise to get this thing under control. Wednesday, the card that you've drawn is the Seven of Cups. And again, this is a card that indicates there's a lot of things you wish would manifest, and maybe some hopes that yet are not realized. And whatever it is that's going on, it's probably very much outside you. Again, we're coming off of the same effects that will linger for a bit more of Uranus squaring Pluto. So again, we've got a major kind of power struggle out there. Locating it in your natal chart requires you knowing what your birth time is as close to exact as possible, so that you can really know where this power struggle is. But here the Seven of Cups is definitely talking about even castles in the air. What good is a dream if it's never going to manifest in reality because it's impossible or improbable? And I'm not one of these people that say that it's impossible to make dreams come true, because that's exactly what Walt Disney did. He took his dreams, he took his fantasies, and he turned them into a theme park, and we were all sucked right in there. I don't know anyone in the United States that hasn't spinned for a while in a teacup, vomiting afterward, but they could say they did it, right? So here on Wednesday, part of the issue is that Mercury in Sagittarius which is your 11th solar house, is opposing Psyche in Gemini. Gemini, again, being your solar fifth house, of the house of creativity, romance, of your children, your family, the home environment, some issue that has to do with your siblings, if that's where most of the energy is directed to. And this is really asking you to transform whatever this creative difference is. Maybe you have you envision the future differently for your job and your career than your spouse does. Maybe you've got a business with your brother and you guys have completely diverging ideas of where this company should go. Well, maybe a compromise is what's necessary. Venus and Mars together in Virgo here in your solar 8th house indicates that there could be a way to smooth the rift over and to get everybody cooperating. Thursday, we have the Hierophant in reverse. Hierophant in reverse is definitely asking you to do two things. Think outside the box and then get back in the box, close the lid, and think inside it too. Contradictory? Probably. Is it doable? If anyone can, it's Aquarius. So here we've got to think about where is the most conservative structure for whatever is the thing, the situation, the irony or the real iron in the fire that needs to be handled. Well, it's probably going to be very structured. Now, for those of you who are far too structured and can't envision a more creative solution, you're probably going to be sold on this by somebody else who says, and accept it because it's what it is. You're with us or you're not with us. And maybe this is you trying to help other people at work see where the benefit of a new horizon would definitely improve the situation. You might be selling them on a pipe dream, but again, every pipe dream can come true as long as we get the right players on board, and all we got to do at that point is sell it to them. The reason why it becomes a little bit mixed up, if not muddy on Thursday, is that Mercury in Sagittarius, again, that solar 11th house, semi-sext house Bacchus in Capricorn, your solar 12th house. So there is a lot of expression, a lot of things that you're holding in, pushing down, that you're keeping pent up, that this could be almost like your own teacup vomit all over your co-workers and authority figures, which don't do it. It's just me and my grotesque way of using analogies that are disgusting. But here Bacchus is saying that there's a tendency for us to use escapist routes. So it could be that you're like, screw it, I'm staying home, I'm taking Tylenol PM at noon, and I'm going to fall into my dreams and stay there as long as possible. Well, that's probably not prudent because we've got to get up and do what we got to do anyway. So escaping somewhere into the 12th house really isn't going to help you, because the purpose of using the energy in the 12th house at all is to bring with you either information that was from a past life, lessons that you learned there, or things from early life or from times in the past that could actually be of service to you. So I think that this is the best time spent being fully conscious, not stoned, and able to make sense of what these different past experience could help you deal with the current ones. Think back about it. Remember last week when I was telling you to think back to 2007? Well, think about it. Fast forward it in like half speed, not slow motion, just half the speed, and see if you can grab that little piece of information that is exactly what you need to do at this time. Because if you think about it, you've seen this before at least once, if not twice, and there's something here that you know that you can handle in a different way when you say to yourself, yeah, nothing doing. I'm not going to do what I did the last time where I got shafted. I certainly wasn't given a gift certificate, and I still had to do all the work. So maybe that's what you need to do. Mercury also in Sagittarius here is trining Minerva in Leo. Leo, your 7th house across the sky, which in your solar astrology would be your marriage, your partnership, your relationship that is committed, your co-worker relationship, your partner relationship, that which also acts like a marriage partnership just by way of association, where of course if we've got two business partners, these two people are acting in that same kind of energy. And Minerva is asking us to use our wisdom. If you have to reason with the spouse, for example, in the 7th house, and that spouse just doesn't want to hear that you're saying that she can't have $700 Louboutin shoes because it's just not practical and necessary, and you're offering to do everything, including to scuff up and spray paint her shoes red if that's what will make her happy. So maybe using your intellect here would be more appealing than putting somebody's idea of what they want for Christmas down, right? This could be that you say, hey, look, we can't do this and you know it. We'd have to charge it on a card. We'd have to borrow it from Granny. We'd have to do one thing or another. How about this? We have $20 that we can put toward those shoes. How about I hand you the $20? You put it in a jar. You save it until you can afford them. That's exactly where Minerva would like you to blend these energies and to use your intellect and not hurt anybody's feelings, right? Even though we try to do the best we can, and I can't see your natal chart, so I really don't know who you are on the inside or even on the outside, but only you will know what I'm talking about, whether it resonates that the problem is with somebody else that you've got to rein in on spending, or if you're the one who's spending needs to be reined in. We just know that around the Christmas season, people lose their minds, line up at Costco at 4 a.m. or some crap, and the rest of us are like, I'm going to bed because I've only done that once in my life, and that was to secure a Nintendo Wii, and I ended up buying 2 of them, because then I sold the second one and paid for the first. That's the only time that you drag my ass out of my warm bed to sit in the snow anywhere. You're probably not going to get me to do it. So I don't even understand the whole Black Friday and the whole, Cyber Monday. To me, I'm like, what the hell? I don't have any money anyway, so nothing's going to change for me. Mercury and Sagittarius will sextile Cupid and Libra. Libra, again, being your solar ninth house. You could enter into a legal and binding contract for something like a gym membership. And then, like everyone else, we know you probably won't end up at the gym, even though you have the membership, but you are now locked into giving these people $50 a month and having to deal with the repercussions if you try to get out of your contract. You could show up saying, look, I lost my leg. Let me out of the contract, and they can't let you out of the contract. Likewise here, it could be anything from financing a vehicle or from taking a title loan out on one of your vehicles, something such as this. Mars is almost saying that you got to do it. And really what it is the devil in disguise, kind of like in the movie Emperor's New Groove, where like he had, what was it, the guy's name Kronk? He had the one voice of common sense on one side and the other little bastard giving him absolutely the worst advice ever. So just remember that. Don't get yourself involved into a legally binding contract unless you know everything that you're doing here. We're going to go into Mercury retrograde pre-shadow in December, and Mercury will actually be retrograde all of January. So from about January 5th to 25th and about the middle of February, I wouldn't touch the sales anyway. I would wait it out to see if what I'm getting actually is a right deal, because it may not even be a good deal at all. Friday, we've got the Nine of Wands here, and this is talking about the energy of feeling, again, like we see with you from time to time, a little on guard, maybe a lot on guard. And that's a good posture as long as no weapons are involved. But remember, you don't really have to feel this way. How about finding your center, your state of Zen, finding your solar plexus, staying in your heart-centered energy, and realizing that the universe is not conspiring to kick your ass tomorrow, so you don't have to wake up with a book in your pants. Just remember that Mercury is going to square Jupiter and Virgo, so again, we've got that element of whatever's going on in the 11th house, having a conversation with whatever's happening in your 8th solar house. So this could just be that you're having difficulty composing yourself because you've got some 8th house issue that might have to do with joint resources, finances, how you're going to work this money to get it to spread a little thinner, go a little further, and even issues that are related to death, transformation, taxes. You could be working with where you're going to place one of your parents because you can no longer handle their healthcare needs at home, or if you're going to keep them in the home, which is always a lovely idea, how you're going to afford to pay for that care for that person inside the home. So remember also the 8th house is where we deal with everything, including the energy of the merging or dissipating of the assets that we accumulate when we're married or divorcing. Sometimes we have to disintegrate whatever this marriage was. And then the hardest part really becomes who gets the damn couch. I don't give a crap who gets the couch. If the couch is important, give it to that person. Let them have it. You can get another stinking couch. That way you don't have to take this energy with you very much further, because Venus is entering Scorpio anyway, which is going to make a lot of these issues that are very outward there and your reputation being associated with it in the 10th house, whether this is career or not. It could be about maybe making some concessions and being able to sweet talk your way into getting what you want. And look, let that person have the couch. Who cares? Unless it's like a vintage piece of furniture that was handed down like 5 generations, it probably smells funky. I can understand that, but nothing really is worth arguing at this point. So on Saturday, we have the Two of Swords in reverse, which is excellent for you because, especially being an air sign, this gives you the ability to make sense of a situation that has been somewhat nebulous or just cloudy. And maybe this is where you get to say, oh, okay, now I understand why my gut was telling me to keep my mouth shut, to just stay put, not say a word. You're going to see that the clarity is now coming to you. Don't be freaked out by the damn Tower card. It's not as bad as it looks. This is a card that just indicates that whatever the structure is that is so unstable that it's about to come crashing down, let that thing happen. You're not really going to prevent it anyway, although if you want to take a wrecking ball to it at the beginning of the week, maybe you can solve half the problem, but it really isn't worth it because before acting impulsively, you need to think about what's going on. Let me describe a little bit of the astrology since you already know what this card is all about. It really could just indicate that the foundation of some situation, whether it is personal, romantic, financial, work-related, or something that is part of the dysfunction that makes your lovely family, well, there's something here that needs to be corrected. The thing is that if you think about this and you do come to the understanding, which is a personal path, I don't know when you'll get your understanding on it because I don't know what what your life situation is, but this is where you could be able to make some repairs to the situation. You could solidify some cracks in the foundation by pouring some concrete in it. You could jack up a sagging floor. There's things that you can do. Now, in the end, will it be worth it? I don't know. Sometimes, like right now, I'm living in a house that it did have foundation work done to it. Foundations were poured in the basement. The floor was jacked up in a way that is crazy to look at. And so, of course, this was to get the house sold and to keep it at the time that it was a rental but there are places in this house that you can stand and you feel like, this is like being down in the rabbit hole with Alice. I feel weird. And I'm one of those weird people that I should have a built-in clinometer because I can tell when something isn't level either by looking at it or I just feel off. And that's kind of the situation with this. Now, what do we do with it? If you have a house that is really screwed up in terms of its foundation, what do? You have somebody come in and give you the estimates, or you do your own estimate if you do your own work to decide if this bitch is worth pumping, 10 tons of concrete underneath. Really depends on the market as well. But this is what we're talking about here. We're going to look at it in terms of, is this thing worth salvaging temporarily before we take the next permanent move? Or is this the thing that we got to just push over the edge of the cliff because we're done with it? So we've got the Sun in Sagittarius sextiling Mars in Libra. Libra being your solar ninth house, which has something to do with a potential foreign land, foreign person, foreign connection. Maybe that this is the house that you see some immigration issues, some naturalization or citizenship process that has to be handled and soon. So maybe you say, screw it, I'm going to go out there and start my application process before Mercury goes retrograde next year, or I'm going to find out from my attorney what's going on with my case and to make sure that no paperwork or anything else that needed to be turned in was forgotten or fell through the cracks, right? The universe is not going to conspire against you to kick your ass out of the United States or wherever else you're at. This is really about the energy that it requires to make sure that things go smoothly when we know that people are human and not computers and things can actually go wrong. But it's not like La Migra is going to come find you and remove you from the country. Just make sure that you're paying attention to it. It is a ninth house issue, so there's something there as it relates to a legal issue, a foreign issue, something that has to do with citizenship and naturalization, a contractual dispute, something here that could have to do with settling the score in a way that becomes somewhat legalese. So also we have the Sun in Sagittarius semi-sextiling Pluto and Capricorn. Again, your 12th house. So we've got some activity here that is talking about needing to take advantage of this lull, if you will, to maybe fill out those forms for your citizenship. Maybe you need to switch attorneys, or you're going to, get rid of the attorney and finish the process on your own to save a few bucks. It really isn't that difficult. I know people that have done it. Mercury in Sagittarius at the same time is squaring Hygeia in Virgo. Again, your solar 8th house. There's something here that has to do with the joint issue, joint finances, joint taxes. There's something here that has to do with death, rebirth, and I always say that this is house of death and taxes. The two things that we can't really avoid. So you could be thinking about how you're going to be affected in 2016's tax season here in the United States. And so maybe this is the time to get your paperwork together. I'm already halfway done with my stuff for tax season next year because I just don't want to run out of time, and I'm doing them for somebody else. And so even though it is pretty simple, I'm no CPA. I've told my eldest before that when I feel I bump into some scope of the law that I don't understand, we are going to a tax accountant because I can't take it that far. As long as he's in the clear, everything's good. So this could be the kind of healing, the kind of protecting yourself, which is what Hygeia wants you to do. Hygeia wants you to prevent the problems that you've already experienced from occurring again. Hygeia says prevention, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So remember, maybe you need to start checking out who's going to be your CPA. Maybe you need to get your paperwork in order to make sure that this isn't going to be a problem. Maybe you know that you're heading for a divorce and you want to make sure that you can shake hands, kick each other in the nuts, but shake hands on the way out. I know that sounds very Jerry Springer-like, but you know what I'm saying? This is what Hygeia wants us to do. Mars and Libra. Here it comes. Drum roll, please. Ba-bum! We've got square to Pluto and Capricorn. This is going to be that element of dysfunction that we've just got to get through. And it's no big deal, really. I think most of us, if we're old enough, I'm almost half a century old, and I feel good about that because I've made so many mistakes upon layers of mistakes that could make the most excellent, disgusting fruitcake. I mean, so never feel bad about your mistakes because I'm sure I've done them more awesome, amazing, and failured than you could ever do. But this Mars and Libra squaring Pluto and Capricorn is talking to you about that legal issue, and about something in the 12th house issue, which is the house of self-undoing. So I'm going to say it like this, and now I'm going to center myself. Do not get involved in any quick get-rich-quick schemes. Do not try to dupe the government because you're going to lose. Don't think that you can hide an asset from the IRS because you can't. Don't think that the state doesn't know where you're funneling money if that's what you do. I really don't know too many Aquarius people that are involved in illegal activities. But hey, there's got to be one in every bunch at least, right? For us to be able to say that they come in all shapes and sizes. Don't get involved in anything that could destabilize what you've worked so hard to correct thus far. If you realize that you've got a legal issue or you need to file a bankruptcy, start looking for people that you can talk to now. Start getting your feelers out there to see who's a good bankruptcy person. Not that you have to file bankruptcy, but what if that's something that you need to do? If those of you that know that this is somewhat imminent here in the near future, you really do need to talk to an attorney because bankruptcy laws change very quickly, and that also there are time frames there that, for example, you can't run up all the credit cards and file bankruptcy 3 months from now. I think it might even be 3 years. I think that changed already too. You can't be transferring assets, selling, buying, doing unless you can prove that you use that money to pay your creditors. So you see where a consult with a bankruptcy attorney could save your ass. Also, in any way that it relates to legal issues that have to do with citizenship and naturalization, residency, that kind of thing. Maybe you're from another country doing your schooling here and you've taken an internship, that kind of thing. Make sure that your ducks are all in the row. If this is something that is not your skill set to be able to handle these documents on your own, let somebody else do it. If you feel like you can't afford that, then you're going to need to dig through the phone book to make sure you find somebody that can take payments, some installment method. But this is what my final thought is here for you guys. You've worked really damn hard this year under some excruciating circumstances. Now, 2013, 2014 were equally as difficult, if not more so. But even 2015 was about now settling and correcting these things, utilizing Scorpio, hosting the retrograde Saturn there this summer, which was for you, your solar 10th house. So you really were sweating over your career, dude. I mean, that was difficult. You probably had your hands just up to the elbows in straightening things out. And if it wasn't you directly, it could have been your spouse, and it also could have been somebody in your family, like a child, a grandchild of yours that was going through some difficult things. So what I say is use these energies to prepare yourself, keeping in mind in advance notice that Mercury is retrograde all of January, and in essence, you can't really make a lot of bold moves until about mid-February, conservatively speaking, which means about mid-December here, we're going to be getting ready to slow these things down. Don't feel like you have to go at breakneck speed just because I talk like as if I'm giving you that disclaimer at the bottom of those videos for this car ad and this, that, and remember that this APR isn't guaranteed, only select people, that kind of thing. Don't feel like you have to go a million miles an hour. I am not a well individual. I talk fast because I'm trying to cram it in there. I got a million things to do. You, on the other hand, need to just invoke your personal bullet time, like in the Matrix. When you can't make sense of what's going on, Aquarius, slow it down, sit back, study what it is, and then very calmly and collectively make sure that you understand what all of the important points are and make your best decisions there. Next year is going to get a lot easier for you. So let's just finish this off on a high note with energy and peace and love. Take good care of yourself through the holiday season. Remember not to work yourself to death. Candle burning at both ends, because in the end, really, remember this, you can't take the couch with you.